Hi everyone. Trying to figure out how to actually get started with this video. It's kind of strange. Just a little while ago, I was talking with an old friend, somebody I've not spoken with in a long time, many years, and they were telling me that they were really having a tough time right now, that they were struggling with their faith, and they actually said to me that they were going to go out and get drunk tonight to deal with their frustration, to deal with their doubts. And as I was listening to them, I was really kind of going back in my own mind because they were so filled with doubt. This is a person who used to be in the ministry, somebody who was a co-laborer, another pastor here in the state, and they have given up the ministry, and now they're talking about going out getting drunk because they're filled with doubt. And they just told me that they weren't sure that their faith was strong enough to get them where they needed to go. And I told this friend, I said, when I'm working on something at the church and we're doing this remodeling, I said, if I see something that I'm not sure that it's going to hold, if I have doubts at all, I said, I have a choice. I can abandon that project or I can rebuild it. I can start from the ground up and build it the way it needs to be done. And I said, doubt is not something that should cause you to walk away from, but something that would cause you to shore up your faith. And I was reminded that in Psalm number 94, somewhere along verse number 18 or 19, I can't remember off the top of my head where it is, but the verse says something like this, that when I was filled with doubt, you filled me with encouragement. The problem is, as my friend said, he's going to go get drunk. So many times we get filled with doubt and we run to things of the world. We run to what we used to know instead of running to the very God who created us, the author and finisher of our faith. I chose to do this video standing in front of this picture you see over my shoulder. That's my son. He's now 26 years old. I said, but when he was just a newborn, actually when he wasn't born, they told my wife and I that he was going to be born with spina bifida, and that if he survived at all, he would spend his entire life in a wheelchair. And they told us that we needed to abort the child. We refused. We just, no debating it, no talking it over. Immediately, our faith told us one of two things. Either God would heal him, or God would give us the grace to raise him. And so the doctors actually were a little bit mad at us. The staff was mad at us. They didn't understand how we could make such a decision. But my wife carried him to full term. When it came time to deliver him, they had grossly mismeasured how large he was. They told us he was going to be about 6 pounds. As it turned out, he was just about 9 pounds. And he got stuck in the birth canal. And they had to take my wife in for an emergency C-section. When we got in there, I was in the room with them as they were cutting my wife open, taking him out, and all of a sudden the doctor became very quiet. And he began to work very rapidly. And after they took him out, the doctor put him in my arms, and he said, I'm so sorry. The umbilical cord had been wrapped around his neck twice, and he'd been like that for quite some time. And he said, this son of yours is going to be brain damaged. And I said, no, he's not going to be brain damaged. I said, you told me he was going to spend his life in a wheelchair, born with spina bifida. And I said, but he's perfect. And I said, the same God who gave us this perfect baby is going to heal his mind. I refused to let doubt enter in. Many times over the years, as he was just a young child growing up, he would wake up and find his dad sitting in the floor next to his crib, next to his bed as he got older. And he just learned that Dad was just there shoring up his faith. Because when my faith got weak, when I began to doubt, I would go in and look, and I would look at this son, this beautiful boy that God had given to my wife and I would see this child who was supposed to spend his life in a wheelchair. I would see this boy who was supposed to be brain damaged. And he's beautiful today. He's 26, almost 27 years old, but he's still beautiful to me. He literally is a genius. This boy who was supposed to be brain damaged is a genius. God has gifted him and God has called him to preach this gospel. What I'm trying to tell you is when you have doubt, you can run or you can run to God. Don't run the other way. Run back to the God who you know. Run back to his word and shore up your faith. Just as when I find something weak in that building that I have to rebuild, Rebuild your faith instead of rebuilding your doubt. I hope this helps somebody today. You have a wonderful day. God bless you. We'll see you soon.